A routine hearing in the case against former FBI Director James Comey has blown up into something far bigger. Procedural bombshell that could put the entire indictment on life support. Because prosecutors admitted something almost unheard of in a federal criminal case. The full grand jury may never have seen the final charges filed against Comey. And in the world of federal law, that is not a clerical typo. That is a potential case killer.
Now, the stated purpose of the arguments was on a defense motion asserting that the prosecution against him is vindictive, but the actual headline came near the end of the hearing when the Justice Department, in a fairly remarkable concession, acknowledged that not all grand jurors were present for the return of the second and final indictment in the case. Comey's lawyers say that that is grounds for dismissal. The judge said he would take it under advisement and that it was too weighty of an issue to decide from the bench.
This started with one simple question from Judge Michael Nachmanoff, a Biden-appointed federal judge who has been openly skeptical of how this case has been handled. He asked interim U.S. Attorney Lindsey Halligan, Trump's hand-picked prosecutor, to confirm what exactly the grand jury saw. Halligan's answer sent shockwaves through the room. She admitted, only the foreperson and one other juror, not the full grand jury, reviewed the final indictment. Why does that matter? Because earlier the grand jury had rejected one of the three charges Halligan proposed. Instead of taking a modified indictment back to the full panel, she simply brought it to the magistrate judge for the foreperson's signature. Judge Nachmanoff stared at her, silent, and Comey's legal team pounced. No indictment was ever returned. In federal criminal cases, indictments are not paperwork. They are the foundation of the case, the legal vote by citizens deciding whether charges are valid. If a full grand jury doesn't approve the final indictment, legally, the indictment can be considered void.
But it really does sort of further imperil a prosecution that's already been subject to multiple challenges, including to the legitimacy of the prosecutor who brought the case, Lindsey Halligan. She stood up in court today and answered a question from the judge about the presentation of the case to the grand jury. We expect to learn by Thanksgiving whether Halligan will remain atop of the case or whether the case will in fact be dismissed as a result of an illegal appointment.
And worse for prosecutors, the statute of limitations on Comey's alleged offenses expired on September 30th, meaning if this indictment is tossed, it may be too late to fix. Yes, DOJ rules allow prosecutors 6 months to cure a defective indictment, but Comey's team says you can't cure something that never legally existed. Within hours, the Justice Department filed a late-night brief defending Halligan. Their argument? The forepersons signed the final indictment, it was explained in open court, and the process was permissible and proper. But they also admit, in writing, that the rest of the grand jury did not see the revised document. This grand jury mishap doesn't exist in a vacuum. Comey's defense has long argued that the case is a vindictive prosecution, brought to satisfy Donald Trump's years-long demand to punish his critics. Their Exhibit A, Trump's own social media posts ordering the Attorney General to do something about Comey. Their Exhibit B, Halligan herself, a former Trump personal lawyer with zero prosecutorial experience, appointed interim U.S. attorney just days before charging Comey. Judge Nachmanoff challenged the prosecution directly. What independent examination could she have made, he asked, in the few days between her appointment and the charges being brought? Meanwhile, another judge in the same courthouse previously reviewed the grand jury transcripts and found a disturbing pattern of profound investigative missteps. He ordered the transcripts released to Comey's team. Prosecutors immediately appealed. Now, with this new indictment irregularity, Comey's lawyers may have fresh ammunition to demand that material. The Comey indictment was one of Trump's flagship prosecutions, filed after he won the election on a vow of retribution against political enemies. If Judge Nachmanoff tosses this case, it would be a major setback for the Trump Justice Department. At Wednesday's hearing, the judge did not tip his hand. He called the issues weighty. He said he needed time. But one thing is clear, this case just hit its biggest hurdle yet, and it could be the one that decides whether James Comey ever goes to trial. From technical errors to allegations of political vengeance, the prosecution of the former FBI director is now hanging by a procedural thread.